Hello, this is Nina la Brujita, le habla Linel, and today we're going to be talking about what my friends so aptly called the lost generation. So we're going to be speaking a little bit on immigration. So we're going to go ahead and start with that little TikTok finger up game. So here we go. Ready? So put a finger down if your memory is trash after you came to America and moved from your country. Put a finger down if you can't do anything without your family or any one of your family members. Put a finger down if your parents make it impossible for you to feel proud of yourself. Put a finger down if you feel mostly isolated most of the time and there's definitely a language barrier. Like you feel like you speak your language very unintelligently. And finally, put a finger down if every time that you go back home, everyone wants you to speak to them in English, but they also consider you more American than actual Americans here in the U.S. And everyone back home knows that you're not from there. Like they can tell that you're also from the U.S. You can put a finger down. So if you have no fingers left or remaining, you are definitely an immigrant and you migrated whatever time that you migrated from your home country or your family has to the United States. And if you yourself did not migrate, someone in your family did, and you may share some of these qualities because you are definitely part of the diaspora. So I wanted to talk about this today because it's so important to understand. I feel like people don't understand the emotional impact that immigration plays on people. We always hear about, right, like our survival basic human rights, but our emotions are also our survival basic human rights that aren't met. And I think that we definitely need to go a little bit further on the psychological impacts and even physical impacts of being an immigrant or being a child of immigrant parents, right? So the first few things that we mentioned in the game, right, we were talking about memory loss. So memory loss is very common for people who migrated, right? Because this is a trauma, right? We constantly live in fear. We're afraid of like even posting a picture of that little chinola juice that your mom smuggled through the country because you think the government is somehow going to find you, right? We're already skeptics and we're scared of everything, and just small things that people think are ridiculous, we're already worried about. We're always thinking one step ahead. We have that constant anxiety, and our parents, it's not just us, our parents also have this constant anxiety. Our grandparents, right, whoever has come from a different country has migrated here because we don't know the rules, right? But honestly, there's no one like a person of color to know the rules of a country, because we absolutely adapt to navigate these roles. So then we are hitting on codependency, right? If you can't do anything without your family, there we're talking about people don't understand the burden that it is. And for a long time, I thought this wasn't normal. Like, I couldn't even go alone and buy a pizza. But the thing is that when you are completely isolated, right, you come, let's say, for example, like my family, we came from the Dominican Republic, and then you literally have no other family members here, no aunts, cousins, everyone else lives back home. You are going to be absolutely isolated. Your parents are petrified and terrified of anyone else and would much rather leave you home alone than to have you socializing with other people. So then we build this immense codependency amongst each other, and whether we're dysfunctional, is absolutely dysfunctional, and it might not even be safe for us, we will always choose our families because we were built and raised upon that family first mentality, right? And then there's 4. So if you said that you don't feel like you can speak your own language intelligently, right? Like you can express yourself and you can talk to your parents and talk to your family, but when you go back home, you don't speak it in the same way, with the same fluidity that you express your English words, right? And this also depends on how young of age you came from and how much of your language you have lost, right? And there's some people who don't speak their own language at all, which is absolutely terrifying, right? I know our parents may have done it to adapt and assimilate, or may have asked us to do this to adapt and assimilate, but we are literally being severed of our mother tongues. And there's a disconnection and an uprootedness that we feel constantly and consistently. So finally, number 5, we're the lost generation, right? So that's what my friend referred to us. We were talking on the phone and we're just talking like, yeah, when I go back home, it's like I'm scared to even speak Spanish, and how do we move on, like how do we navigate, like even my own parents who have lived there for 20 plus years of their lives are afraid to be back home, right? Like they don't know how to navigate, they don't feel safe in their own country. And that's the displacement that we die with this feeling of displacement. And I think that we don't talk about this enough. There's not even a precise way to talk about this because everyone's migration story and experience is different, and we don't even have enough collections of people's migration stories. We don't have a therapeutic practice in place to deal with people who are immigrants, right? And my friend the other day, this is another friend, she texted me, she's like, yeah, my therapist doesn't understand that I miss my land and I miss my country. And I talk to people all of the time because they know that I don't like New York, and it's hard to explain what home is for us. So back on the lost generation, ni de aquí ni de allá. So we definitely feel that we're not from here, and we're also not from there because we're also not fully accepted from there, because we will have adapted and assimilated to American culture, or create our own in that diaspora. This is something that is a generational curse and continues being passed down through generations if we don't acknowledge them and heal these wounds, right? And we can definitely go further into each section very in depth and detailed, right? Because every section has a nuance, but we don't even hit on the general impacts of immigration. So I just wanted to do a very quick overview of not only my experience, but many similar experiences that I have from connecting with other immigrants. And it's just we're impacted and reminded that we're not from this country on every instance and every moment at every institution that we get, and we're just moving on like we've been doing this forever, which we have. But it's very sad that we have to navigate the world in this way. So I urge you, take up space. Don't let anyone mispronounce your name. Have more patience and love with your parents and families, because they are unlearning too. They are undoing too. For years, our families have intentionally and institutionally been broken. Our ancestors did not fight, so we remain broken. Breathe, mend, leave if you need to. Grieve, feel, and give each other space. Create boundaries, but don't break. You are not difficult. Remember, we are not difficult. Release this guilt that is not yours. Ashe. Thank you for listening to Nina La Brujita. See you next month for our 5th episode. Ashe.